Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather on this 22nd day of May, 2021. I'm Dave Percy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, hosting today's show once again. Up first, river breakup chart. We've got the northern rivers there, North Slope rivers, the Colville, Sagwan River is still all ice, but the Noatak River there has some open areas there, and the lower stretch has mostly open, or actually is open. Actually, two stretches open there on the Noatak, and the Kobuk River is mostly open until you get out toward the coastline. So rivers are this year they kind of broke up in a very orderly manner. So, although we still got to wait on the ones there for the North Slope. And moving on to for the hazards weather graphics, there are no hazards out, no watches, warnings, no advisories for anywhere in the state, except for some gale warnings out over the Aleutians and the Bering Sea, with a pretty active front for tonight into tomorrow. But as far as public warnings, watches, advisories, we've got none, probably for the next several days, hopefully. And pretty good weather conditions, high pressure in over the interior, kind of stormy out in the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, and kind of lingering dampness over the panhandle. On the satellite imagery, you can see a lot of clear skies. Kodiak Island up into central southern Cook Inlet. Northern Cook Inlet still got some clouds around, but also a few breaks. Pretty good breaks over the southwest interior up across the lower Yukon River there, but the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta pretty well mostly cloudy. And Togiak Bay, though, sunshine over toward Dillingham, and up over the Seward Peninsula, have some clearing, but pretty cloudy there through the Bering Strait and south coast Norton Sound. And a lot of clouds with the storminess out over the Bering Sea there, with the winds already kicking up, 40-45 mile an hour wind gusts, Adak and Atka, out of the southeast with rain there. And I've got a system also off the north coast of the Panhandle. You can see the weak circulation there, northwest of Sitka, south of Yakutat, and that kept the rain going there over the northern Panhandle and the eastern North Gulf Coast today. With let's see, Yakutat only picked up about 1/1600ths of an inch of precipitation, so it's pretty light there. With Wrangell picking up about 1/1400ths of an inch, and these are 12-hour amounts at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Wrangell had that amount. Otherwise, up in the interior, showers around. With an upper level low pressure area, upper trough. So Stony picked up 11/100ths of an inch. That's actually west of Cook Inlet there, Stony. But Eagle had 14/100ths of an inch of precipitation. Wetting rains, though, helps keep the fire danger down. It could be on the very high side this time of year as you get into late May. The Nana also having a wetting rain in the last 12 hours, 12/100ths of an inch there. And otherwise, scattered showers with some clearing, mostly cloudy over the interior. And some, as I mentioned, some breaks over the Seward Peninsula and upper Yukon River area around, say, Fort Yukon, Chalk-Yitzhak, and mostly cloudy, though, for the Brooks Range and North Slope, with some scattered rain and snow showers with temperatures even out to the Arctic coast now. I noticed, I think it was Dead Horse up to 43 degrees this afternoon. Or no, Zumiat Airfield, 43 degrees, with actually picking up some rain. So kind of a mixed precipitation pattern up there now. On the chart, you can see a weak trough across the central eastern Arctic coast with some scattered rain and snow showers up in that area. Light conditions, showers over the interior, the weak low coming over the top of that high that's over the southwest interior. Another trough with the heavier precipitation. Let's see. Delta Junction picked up 4/10ths of an inch of precipitation in the last 12 hours, and then with the other trough there, Latuya Bay had 4/10ths of an inch also, and about that also out at Adak and Atka, but they go along with that. They had winds gusting up 40 to 50 miles an hour currently ahead of that frontal boundary there, and winds on the increase there for Unmak Island, but high pressure southwest interior up into the Russian Far East, making pretty clear, a lot of clear skies there, Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island into the western Gulf. And for tonight, that'll continue. High pressure actually edges eastward, so the showers will linger as that upper level low is really slow to move out. Probably won't drop out of the area for the interior until probably late Monday afternoon or early evening. It'll be continued slowly drying out, and to the west, that keeps the panhandle in kind of a diminishing wet weather pattern. Look for periods of rain central and southern panhandle tonight, becoming more showery up to the north. Still a chance of moisture eastern North Slope Arctic coastal areas, maybe even on the west side there. Another weak trough swinging around that low that's under the label. And gale force winds move to the Fox Islands and into the central Bering Sea, and maybe even back coming around probably 30 knots out of the northwest, shimmying at 2 on the back side of that bent back occlusion. But light winds over the interior. And for the outlook for tomorrow, we're mostly sunny. South central Alaska, Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, southwest coast. Northern Bering Sea, St. Matthew Island, right on the edge of the clouds, give or take there. And St. Lawrence Island, maybe some clearing, but definitely dry conditions and light winds into the central interior. Still some lingering showers lingering over the mountains north and northeast of Fairbanks, on up in toward the eastern Arctic coast. Rain or snow up in that area, depending on the time of day, but basically dry for the remainder of the Arctic coast with mostly cloudy skies. Panhandle, weak troughs, keeping it showery, cloudy, and cool there through tomorrow, but showers becoming less numerous, less heavy, and still a chance of showers eastern Copper River Basin, Wrangell Mountain areas, and scattered across the eastern interior, but to no great extent. That front now weakening and just looks like it's stuck over Unmak Island, but it'll weaken, so the winds will slowly come down, but stays pretty wet. Some rain pushes into the Pribilof Islands, and winds increase for the Alaska Peninsula. And then for Monday, that front edges eastward to about False Pass, Raccoon Island, and continues to slowly weaken. So just looking at small craft advisory level winds with that front for the Alaska Peninsula. Periods of rain there up to possibly western Nunivak Island. The Pribilofs wet, breezy. Aleutians unsettled, damp, and breezy there with a low center just north of the area holding put, or staying put. High pressure over the interior. Looking really good. Still another trough clipping the eastern Arctic coast. Probably a little chillier with that, so probably whatever falls will be in the form of snow up there on Monday. That'd be mostly east of Dead Horse, Kaktovik, Barter Island, those areas, but in toward the Mackenzie River Bay area. And still an isolated chance of showers for the Wrangell Mountains, eastern Copper River Basin, but not much of one. And still kind of a chance of showers, mostly cloudy. With upper level trough there continuing to plague the Panhandle. It'll be at least probably a few showers around the area. Otherwise, looking at the low temperatures for tonight, mid-40s, lower to mid-40s for the southeast coast, upper 30s Yakutat, and mid-30s to lower 40s southern Alaska, lower 40s over Kodiak Island, mid to upper 30s Bristol Bay, lower 30s right around the freeze point for Nikolai and McGrath, and the Copper River Basin in the mid-30s, right around the frost point also for the central interior, Tanana, Fairbanks, Nenana, maybe Northway, Delta Junction. Otherwise, in the 30s, upper 20s for the Brooks Range, possibly Anatovik Pass, otherwise in the 30s, even out to the North Slope, upper 20s to near 30 for the Arctic coast, upper 20s there for Shishmaref, Tin City, Wales, lower 30s St. Lawrence Island, upper 20s for Nome, and upper 30s to near 40 for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. Highs for tomorrow, more sunshine, warmer temperatures. Call it 58 to 66 for south central Alaska, Kenai Peninsula. Mid-60s for the Bristol Bay area. Mid-50s Kodiak Island. Lower to mid-50s for the Panhandle. Maybe 60 to 65 for the Copper River Basin. Same thing, Kuskokwim Valley. A little cooler up in the central interior. 55 to 60 up in that area. And 30s to lower 40s for the North Slope Brooks Range. Lower to mid-30s Arctic coast. Mid-30s for the St. Lawrence Island area. Lower 40s south coast of the Seward Peninsula, 40s for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, near 50 Alaska Peninsula. Lows for Monday morning, lower to mid-40s again, maybe some upper 30s for the Panhandle, especially around Yakutat, Wrangell, Petersburg. Upper 30s Copper River Basin, south central Alaska, upper 30s to lower 40s. Same thing for Bristol Bay, lower 40s Kodiak Island, in the 30s to Kuskokwim Valley. And in the 30s in the interior, 20s North Slope in the Arctic coast, lower to mid, maybe upper, near freezing for the Seward Peninsula and St. Lawrence Island, and 35 to 40 for the Aleutians, Bering Sea, Pribilofs near 40, same thing for Alaska, and the Alaska Peninsula, lower 40s. Highs, look at that, lower 70s to Sitna Valley in the forecast there, and 60s, probably the lower 70s also for the Kenai Peninsula, mid-60s to upper 60s, Copper River Basin, and Kuskokwim Valley, 50s to the
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic Sunday morning. We've got IFR, North Slope Arctic Coast into the northwest interior, and actually northern Kobuk Valley through the Bering Strait, Kotzebue Sound, Norton Sound, northern Bering Sea, all the way down to about Adak, westward to Shimianatu, another band down across just north of Atka Island to the Fox Islands there into the Alaska Peninsula, but VFR just east of the Pribilofs across Bristol Bay to Kodiak Island, VFR up into south central Alaska. Possibly some, starting the day with some marginal VFR for the Talkeetnas, maybe the part of the Madnuska Valley, western Alaska Range and central Alaska Range, all the way to the 40-mile country. IFR for the Panhandle. And for the, let's see, for the, go the right direction there, afternoon, Sunday. We've got good VFR really from about the southern slopes of the Brooks Range all the way down to Kodiak Island, Cook Inlet, North Gulf Coast, although right around Cape Yakataga or so, Cape St. Elias, eastward, marginal VFR, and some of that extends up into the Talkeetnas, but basically the eastern interior now VFR, IFR, central and northern Bering Sea, also the western areas, and on Alaska Island and the part of the Alaska Peninsula. Bristol Bay southwest coast stays VFR, or becomes VFR, and marginal VFR now for the North Slope Arctic Coast areas. And then back to the IFR though for Monday morning up that way, and kind of cuts off there at the Brooks Range, marginal just to the south, but not too far. Probably staying out of the Kobuk Koyukuk valleys. Noatak Valley not too bad, and northern Bering, they're south of St. Lawrence Island into Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula, VFR southwest coast, Bristol Bay, northern Kodiak Island, and much of the southern and eastern interior. A little bit of marginal stuff for the Talkeetnas again, maybe the White Mountains there, or a little farther to the northeast, and also some IFR central and south coast of the Panhandle over toward the border, otherwise marginal, and Alaska Peninsula, a lot of IFR to about Sitkinak, Trinity Islands, Unalaska Island, and kind of touch and go for the IFR for the remainder of the Aleutian chain. Afternoon Monday, marginal VFR from Shimiatu eastward, IFR on Alaska Island, maybe. IFR definitely for the Pribilofs, more likely. Stays VFR for the southwest coast, but marginal for St. Lawrence, St. and Nunavik Island. Bristol Bay stays VFR. Again, VFR for the interior from the North Gulf Coast, Kodiak Island, all the way up, but from the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast, marginal VFR. Marginal VFR for the Panhandle, more scattered. It's got some scattered VFR showing up over the northern Panhandle in Canal Glacier Bay. And for the passes, we've got IFR trending toward marginal for Anatuvik and Adigan. Lower conditions in the morning. Lake Clark, maybe marginal VFR, becomes VFR in the morning. Could be VFR the entire day, as forecast are made for rainy. VFR all day VFR for windy, looking good for Isabel, maybe a little marginal to start, but for the most of the part of the day it'll be VFR. Mentasta, marginal becomes VFR. Tanita, VFR. Portage, VFR. And Chilkoot and White, IFR to start, improving the marginal VFR hopefully by midday and through the afternoon. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet there across Norton Sound. Now north of St. Lawrence Island, actually 4,000 feet up to St. Lawrence Island, 8,000 feet there for the Alaska Peninsula. Back to 2,000 feet central Aleutians, 2,000 feet there over the northern interior, extending down to the northern Panhandle. And for icing, we've got a band there with that front and that storm system, an area of possible considerable moderate rime icing for the Alaska Peninsula, Unalaska Island area. Otherwise, light to isolated, moderate mixed icing possible. Very isolated, moderate mixed icing for the Panhandle. Some of that still with an upper level low extends into the eastern Alaska Range, Talkeetnas possibly, and lighter icing threats for the Aleutians. And the jet stream, high pressure, Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta across Bristol Bay. And we've got westerlies over the top of that, 95 knots, Chuck CC, turn northerlies at 80 knots across the Kuskokwim Valley. And about the same pattern at 9,000 feet. And they're at 3,000 feet, southerlies 40 to 50 knots, eastern Bering Sea. Moderate chop below about 4 to 6,000 feet there for the Alaska Peninsula, especially for small aircraft, eastern Aleutians to Atka. Like to isolate moderate chop for the area from Adak, Amchitka to Kiska, then back into the moderate chop on the northerly winds on the tighter gradient on the backside of that low. Otherwise, pretty smooth for much of interior Alaska. Not much in the way of any turbulence at all. After the break, I'll be back with a marine forecast.
welcome to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snyder, and joining us once again is our good friend Eric Stevens from GINA, the Geographic Information Network of Alaska. Thanks again for joining us, Eric. We really appreciate it, as always.
Happy to be here, Dave.
Thanks. And, you know, we're going to ask you some more satellite questions here, but, you know,
Okay.
since you're a regular guest, we're going to give you a riddle this time, kind of a trick start to the show.
Okay.
How do you see a polar bear in a snowstorm?
Sounds like a challenging question because
Okay.
the polar bear is white and the snowstorm's white.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, in the world of satellite meteorology, you couldn't, because the spatial resolution of this instrument that we're going to talk about today has 375 meters resolution, and even the most well-fed polar bear will not be 375 meters across.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to run into such a
No, it'd be a
creature,
bad day.
would you? In the satellite meteorology world, the equivalent would be, how do you tell the difference between clouds and then an area that has no clouds but's covered by snow,
Right.
a piece of ocean that has no clouds but has sea ice?
Oh.
All three of these are white. The
Right.
snow, the clouds, the sea ice, it's all white. So how, using satellite data, can you tell someone where the clouds are and where the clear areas are? This is important for aviators. Mariners want to know, in the ocean there, this white stuff, is that sea ice or is that just a cloud?
Right.
How do we tell the difference? And it turns out, if you look, say, at a picture of Alaska from the springtime, March or April, and it's high noon, so we're getting a lot of sunshine. If you were riding on a satellite with your human eye, look down, everything's white.
Right.
And we've got a picture of Alaska from early April, and we're seeing some of the lower elevations in south central Alaska are melting out, getting some brown ground there, but otherwise there's a whole lot of white on the image. What areas are cloudy, but what areas are clear and covered by snow or ice?
Okay.
It turns out that if we leave the visible spectrum behind a little bit, see, a satellite has multiple channels in the electromagnetic spectrum that it can look at.
Oh, okay.
Part of that's visible light, what we
Right.
see as humans, but there's a lot going on at other wavelengths. If we add in something that's called near infrared, what we couldn't quite see, but we're getting into that infrared territory, there's a magical property that we can exploit.
Secrets to find. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is actually powerful and almost magical, that at a slightly longer wavelength, when the sun shines down on Alaska and then it bounces off back to the satellite, at that near infrared wavelength, it turns out that snow and ice will absorb that wavelength, but liquid water, like liquid droplets in a cloud, will reflect it back.
Okay.
And that's not the way it works in visible. You know, visible, it just bounces off of all those targets the same. But at near infrared, snow and ice absorbs it, and the liquid will reflect it back. Liquid cloud droplets will do that.
Okay.
And so an image where everything looks white suddenly becomes colorful.
Oh,
And the way this recipe works is that the clouds look pink, and the snow-covered ground and the ice-covered ocean look blue. Suddenly now, we're able to see the polar bear in the snowstorm. We're able to see where the clouds are and where the snow is and where the ice is. This is a powerful advantage. Consider the case zooming into the Bering Strait area. What if you were asked to brief a pilot who wanted to fly, say, from Kotzebue down to Savunga or Gamble, and had to fly VFR, visual flight rules, so they had to stay out of the clouds? Could you use a satellite image where everything is white to provide that pilot any guidance?
It'd be pretty tricky.
Very tricky. And that's why we have to go to this other recipe where the all-white polar bear in the snowstorm becomes more colorful. And now we can tell the pilot, aha, this is a cloud you want to stay out of, but over here, sure, it looks white in the visible spectrum, but what we're doing, we'll show you, oh, this is just snow-covered ground, but it's clear, so you can fly right through there, visual flight rules. Same thing for a mariner who might want to get down to St. Lawrence Island, say, but has to avoid the sea ice. This product has applicability there as well.
Wonderful.
It's an amazing new technology, so many new channels. The satellite that makes this imagery actually has 22 different channels that it looks at.
22 secret decoder rings.
22 secret decoder rings.
Okay. You know, I liken this to an activity I had in the car when I was growing up. We go on long car rides, and we do all the work in these activity books to, you know, stay calm, cool, and collected for our parents who are trying to get us across the state. But to get the answer, the real answer, you had to apply that red sheet to see the answer or the secret path or whatever the message was in that activity book to get you onto the next page. And it's also like a photography filter, right? If you're taking a lot of pictures, you can apply different colors to see different parts of that image. I mean, that sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
Oh, you know it. The information is in there all along. We just have to combine the channels in a way to reveal what's in there. And by the way, you're dating yourself. So you didn't have an iPad in the back of the car?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, we have, lastly, for dessert.
Okay.
There's a great image of the same kind of recipe. We're looking at South Central Alaska the first week of January. In first week of January, the sun, even at noon, is really low on the horizon, barely up. And in this image, the fun thing is the shadow of Denali. We can see the shadow of Denali over a lower pink cloud deck.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And Denali at 20,000 feet casts a big shadow. So this is another, just for fun, kind of application here. This is called multispectral satellite imagery, and it's the future. And happily, the future is now.
Oh, that is fascinating. And 22 different secrets that can be revealed from just one satellite tool that's floating overhead. Eric, thanks so much for joining us again. We can't wait to have you back and telling us more secrets of satellite technology that are passing over us every single day, many times a day, over Alaska and helping us all the way in many different parts of our lives. So thanks so much for joining us again.
Well, happy to be here.
All right. And thank you for staying with us. We'll be back with a little more weather here in just a few minutes. And of course, we'll have more Alaska weather facts anytime online.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Back, today's sea ice analysis, not much different from yesterday. Still shore-fast ice along the western Arctic coast, but that area thinning out there off the coast, and still pretty solid there north side of the Seward Peninsula into Kotzebue Sound along the northwest coast there, about Point Hope on down in toward Kotzebue. But some break up there over the Bering Strait, and then almost open water there over eastern Norton Sound. But still some shore-fast ice or heavier ice up in Norton Bay. And ice on the north side of St. Lawrence Island to no ice on the south side. And for the coastal water forecast, we've got for tomorrow along the Panhandle, along the outer coastline there, light west winds, central and south coast at 10 knots, seas 7 feet, and west to north winds 10 to 15 knots on the north coast. Light southerly winds, central northern inside waters with at 10 knots with 2-foot seas, Clarence Strait, light southeast breeze at 10 knots, seas 2 feet. Outlook for Monday, northwest breeze at 15, 5 to 6 foot seas on the south coast, light winds out of the west on the north coast, 10 knots, seas 5 feet. Light northwest breezes for Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay into Stevens Passage at 10 knots, and Clarence Strait will go 15 out of the northwest. Prince William Sound, variable to northwest, 10 knots, seas 2 feet, and west winds 10 to 15 knots for the North Gulf Coast, 4 to 5 foot seas, 15 knots out of the west for the Barren Islands, and 10 knots for Kamishak Bay, west, and north 10 knots for Cook Inlet with seas around 2 feet or less. And for Monday, Cook Inlet, west-southwest breeze in the afternoon, 10 knots, 3-foot seas, west 10 knots for Kamishak Bay, 15 for the Barren Islands out of the west. North Gulf Coast, southwest, 10 knots, seas pretty slight there, 3 to 5 feet. And Prince William Sound, variable to northwest at 10 knots with 2-foot seas. Kodiak Island on the east side, southeast breeze at 10 knots, 4-foot seas, and southwest 15 for Shelikof Strait. But small craft advisories with that front pushing eastward, coming into the Alaska Peninsula, coming up to 30 knots, seas building to 11 feet in the Pacific side, 6 feet on the Bering Sea side, and Bristol Bay east at 15. For the outlook on Monday, Bristol Bay southeast 20 knots, seas 4 feet, 10 to 15 knots there for Kodiak Island, mostly from the southwest on the east side of the island, variable to southeast Shelikof Strait. And then east winds 15 knots, Castle Cape to Sitkinak. Small craft advisories for the Alaska Peninsula, Bering Sea side, east 25, southeast 25, Pacific side with 10-foot seas. Fox Islands, good gales tomorrow coming in with that ahead of that front, hitting Unmak Island first, and then over to Unalaska Island. We'll call it southeast, 30 to 40 knots. Seas anywhere from 11 to 14 feet, southeast 30 knots, Adak and Atka 8 to 14-foot seas. Kind of a lighter wind area there around Amchitka out of the northeast at 15, then back to 30 knots from the west-northwest from Kiska to Shimia. And looking ahead to Monday, Small craft advisories for the Fox Islands, south to southeast 25 to 30 knots, 7 to 14 foot seas, south of 20 for AKwx, 6 to 11 foot seas, Amchitka Island, southwest at 15, seas 8 feet. And for Kiskishimi and Attu, winds will be out of the northwest 20 knots, seas 9 feet. Small craft advisories along the southwest coast, and as well as St. Lawrence Island. Southeast winds for the Kuskokwim Delta coastline there, south of Nunivak Island, but east 25, Yukon Delta coast, St. Lawrence Island, east 15, Norton Sound, 30 knots out of the east for the St. Matthew Island zone. Save the strongest winds for last. Pribilofs, east 35 knots, 13 foot seas, so that's good for gale warnings there for tomorrow. And then for Monday, down to 25 knots for St. Paul and St. George. Out of the east, seas just under 10 feet. Southeast 25 for the southwest coast. 30-knot winds, St. Matthew, St. Lawrence Island out of the east. And northeast 20 for Norton Sound. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast, westerlies, 15 to 20 knots. Central coast, brisk wind advisories there. Central coast, southwest 25. Small craft advisories on the western coast. And 20-knot winds, Cape Beaufort to Cape Thompson. And Cape Thompson to Wales, southwest at 15. And Monday, swing those winds around to the northeast, 15 to 20 knots, Cape Beaufort to Wales. West 20 knots, central and western Arctic coast. And west-southwest 10 to 15 knots for the eastern stretch of the Beaufort Sea toward Mackenzie River Delta, or Mackenzie Bay, sorry. And for tonight, good high pressure, northern Bering Sea, Bering Strait, in over the western central interior. Dry conditions, light winds, clearing skies, Bristol Bay, decreasing clouds, south central Alaska. Lingering showers up all over trough there for the eastern interior. Showers and rain for the Panhandle, and there's that front in the Bering Sea that slowly moves eastward and weakens through Monday.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.